So this week we looked at chapter 7 for Bowman. In chapter 7, it was all about how to promote your show. And I found a lot of those tips to be very helpful, especially offering ways to maybe bring in different people within the community from the community's talent pool to work with the show for high school kids or even for the junior high school level. I don't know if you would do it for the elementary school level or not, but definitely having like teachers perform with the students, or even having like, I believe there was a concept where you would have parents also work with the students. It's like embarrass your sixth grader or eighth grader uh, for this production kind of thing. And I thought that that was very interesting. Definitely also getting the community involved by like working with local shops, asking if you can, post your stuff, your posters, put up your posters or your flyers in the window to promote the show, and possibly like giving them a shout out in the program, or even putting them in the program, or putting their label and their address and a special thanks to them in your program to kind of help to promote the show. And that was Bowman. For Catron, we did chapters 5, 6, and 7. And for those chapters, for Catron, give me one second. Yeah, those chapters for Catron, we focused in chapter 5 on the director really coming to understand the play and their attitude towards the characters in the play, and possibly using their knowledge, or doing research and using the knowledge that they gain from the research to use the characters' objectives to map out and understand what the subject and the theme of the play is. I think that that is a fantastic idea. It's an interesting idea. I would definitely look into trying to do that myself at some point, or seeing if I could possibly do that myself. I definitely thought that that was an interesting concept. Um, that was chapter 5 for Catron. In chapter 6 for Catron, that chapter focused. Chapter 7 was diction, but chapter 6 focused more on, if I can pull it up, chapter 6 was more philosophical, and it focused on the moral of the story, or the play. And that's really, they were focusing on, the thought of the play. And the thought of the play is looking at it, and he described it as the argument or the message of the play. And again, as the director, it's our job to find the objectives for the characters, of course, but it's also our job to definitely look in and do careful investigation on what the subject and the theme and the thought of the play is. So I thought that that was interesting as well. And then, as I said before, chapter 7 was, oh man, this thing is taking forever to load. Chapter 7 was more about, give me a second here. Chapter 7 for Catron. Yeah, chapter 7 was language. And I liked the idea that, you know, the play half seals and half reveals the heart and soul while expressing it in its own unique style. And I liked how diction is described as, you know, the playwright's choice of words and phrases. It also looks at the pitfalls of diction, like in Godot, where like some of the lines are repetitive, and how like that might be a troublesome thing for certain actors, or how I've never heard of it or seen it myself, but in the book they describe the S sound sounding like a whistle instead of it being what it was intended to be by whoever the playwright was for whatever that time was. I found all of the chapters to be interesting, but I definitely enjoyed reading the Bowman chapter a little bit more, as the Catron chapters this week were a bit more dense, especially chapter 6 about thought. Yeah, so.